The tale kicks off with our MC pondering the superiority of cats, so fluffy, shiny, and snuggly. He couldn't care less about human connections when felines are wandering about. Just imagine the healing powers of snuggling up with a cat every day. Surely, everyone has dreamed of this at least once. It makes you wonder, what if cats were humans? The scene shifts to a kid trying to capture his cat, whom he refers to as Michan, to cuddle with it and catch its irresistible smell. Turns out our MC is dreaming of his childhood. When he opens his eyes, he finds himself sleeping next to a beautiful black-haired woman. Taken out by surprise, he falls from his bed. After retaining his composure, he asks the girl who she is. While caressing her eyes, the girl babbles about them doing something, which ignites a misunderstanding, but nonchalantly diffuses it before things go south. When our dude looks at his clock, he realizes that it's already 7:30 a.m. He rushes off to get ready for work, and before leaving, he tells the girl that they will be talking when he's back. Perplexed, the girl thinks he is being too careless, leaving the house in a situation like this. Working at a local supermarket, he receives a call from one of his workers, who informs him that their son has a fever and that she needs a day off to take care of her son. He tries to explain to her that in situations like this, she needs to give prior notice. But since Suzuki can't tell when her son is going to get sick, she asks if she's the bad guy here. The man tries to explain that he didn't mean to offend her, but Suzuki cuts the call before he even says a word. He sighs in disappointment, knowing that without a worker, this is going to be a hellish day. When the other workers find out, they share stories about seeing Suzuki spending the afternoon with her child the last time she took a day off. Moreover, her husband works from home, so she could at least come for half a day. The two workers, addressing him as Natsum-kun, suggest him to give her a proper warning because he can't always forgive her. He listens to their bits of advice and decides to reduce Suzuki's number of shifts, and the two workers respond positively to his decision. However, he then suddenly decides to take back his decision, which leaves them disappointed. They start calling him spineless and unreliable, and even casually mock him for not having a girlfriend. The assistant manager, a girl the same age as him, tells him that he should do something about his appearance. His shabby appearance is the reason the aunties look down on him. In response, he simply nods. After working until sunset, he calls it a day and leaves for his home. He complains about feeling tired from working all day, and he's also bothered by the remarks his employees make. The only thing on his mind at the moment is a cat. He wants to kiss one, and he wants to make it look a little lost when he is all over it. He wants to communicate with cats instead of humans. Yesterday was perfect. He smiles as his eyes catch a black cat gliding along the wall. Overwhelmed by its cuteness, his mood suddenly switches. He has a series of questions that he wants to ask the cat. He wants to know where it came from. The cat willingly allows him to pat it. Afterward, he gives her some milk, though he feels guilty for doing so without the owner's permission. He suddenly remembers something and chants the name Michan, his facial expression shifting at that very moment. The cat catches him off guard and slips past him to get into his flat. He begins to panic as he remembers the rule about pets not being allowed. The owner hates the cat. Despite all of that, he can't resist the temptation of stroking the cat's head. Before long, the cat ends up falling asleep on the mat, which leaves him wondering if this cat is some kind of half-straight cat. Since he can't wake her up, he decides to leave her be. He moves her a little, creating space for himself, and then sleeps next to her. At the present, as he is about to leave for work, he thinks about how cute the cat was from last night, and he suddenly gets a feeling that he is forgetting something. This is when he remembers the girl from the morning. He takes a quick look at the house just to confirm if she's there, despite having a hunch that she won't be. As he is thinking about that girl, he is surprised by the cat. He lifts her and caresses her against his cheeks, showing her some love. He is eager to spend time with the cat once again, but fears it would be bad if the owner finds out. He unlocks the door to drop her off outside, but realizes that if he just opened the door, how did the cat find her way through? He tries not overthink and bids her farewell. Just as he is about to leave, the cat calls him with teary eyes, convincing him to not leave her alone. Since it's cold outside, and it's so dark, he fears that the cat might get run over by a car. Moreover, she came to his home, and is also beautiful, which increases the risk factors of her getting kidnapped by a cat maniac. He tries to tell the cat to not get overheard by the landlord, who lives on the second floor. The cat hears him and goes quiet like a good girl. He He is still wondering who the girl from before was, and even guesses that she might be a scammer. Even if he didn't let that girl inside the house, she might have done it while being half asleep. He wanted to talk to her properly. He diverts his attention to his work, fully aware that he can't satisfy everyone, and that it will be difficult. Although he told the other part-time employees that he planned to reduce the shifts of the worker who ditches a lot, he is letting her off with this warning because she needs to work to feed her family. Besides, it would be bad if the woman's kid gets sick. He believes that there must be a reason for her, even if she lied. While he's lost in thoughts of the worker, the black cat suddenly licks his face, including his lips. Flabbergasted, he thanks the cat, and this gesture of hers reminds him of the time when Mai-chan used to lick his face. Thinking she is hungry, he offers her some cooled-down nakamama, a dish of rice and miso soup, or dried bonito flakes. Although he gave her a bowl full of nakamama, he is well aware that it's not a good idea to give this much to someone else's cat. The cat starts gobbling up the food, thanks to the bonito flakes that he reveals he got at a wedding some time ago. After eating the food, both of them go to the bed to sleep. He is pleased to see a cat by his bedside 2 days in a row. He suddenly remembers that he slept very well last night. Normally, he wakes up every 2 hours and wonders if is it because of the cat. His eyes spot a ribbon on the cat's neck, and before remembering where he saw it, he dozes off. In the morning, he opens his eyes to a warm sensation, and when he looks up, he sees the same girl from before wearing the same ribbon as the cat. He realizes that he is being given a lap pillow, hence why he is feeling a soft sensation. The girl informs him it's already afternoon, which makes him scream in shock. He asks her if she's the same girl from yesterday, but before he even finishes his sentence, she cuts in and tells him that she has borrowed his clothes. She tells him not to be afraid and assures him she's not a thief or a scammer. She reveals she wanted to say thank him for the nakamama, which was very tasty. She coaxes him into sharing his name, Natsumayori, which she calls cute. She bluntly tells him that she's taken a liking to him. While giving off a smirk, she gets closer to him and tells him that she will let him keep her. Iori is left speechless by what just happened. Confused, he asks her what she is talking about. Right as he asks her the question, her stomach begins to growl. She tells him to hold up, and in the next instance, she suddenly demands to eat French toast, leaving him creeped out. Though he doesn't want to, she insists he cook for her, saying no one else would do it but him. She explains she means the kind of French toast made with a baguette, not regular bread. Iori, however, prefers eating out to buy ingredients and cooking. Then she mentions she can't go outside. If she does, she'll be chased away. The moment he understands, his expression changes. She looks at him and says she's grateful. Sometime later, as he is heading back with the ingredients, he wonders why he's doing chores for a random girl living in his house. From his perspective, she has a high sense of pride, but despite that, something is irresistible about her. While passing by a bakery, he realizes that it's been a while since he last visited one, and looking at the reflecting glass, he discovers that his dark circles are gone. The absence of dark circles proves that he finally got some good sleep in the last 2 days. Due to all the stress from work, combined with the loss of Mai-chan's healing presence, he has been experiencing prolonged insomnia. He realizes he's been giving off a strange vibe ever since he stood outside the bakery window. Even the workers inside seem afraid of him. He quickly walks inside, buys a loaf of baguettes, and then leaves. Back home, he prepares French toast for the girl, along with salad and soup. He asks for her opinion because it took him a lot of effort to make. Expectedly, she praises him for his cooking. He lets her know that he likes cooking to begin with, and has been good at it since he was a kid. He mentions that he tends to overbuy during grocery trips, and also since she looked hungry, he ended up making a large meal for her. She starts messing with his hair while telling him that his owner instincts are kicking in. She is grateful to him for the meal. As she prepares to devour her food, Iori notices the red ribbon around her neck. He has a hazy memory of seeing it somewhere before, and soon he realizes that it's just like the one the black cat wore. Realization hits him, and he immediately asks how she knows about Nico Mama. He then brings up how she suddenly appeared in his house 2 days ago, and finally asks who she really is. She calmly reveals that she's the same black cat that entered his home 2 days ago, leaving him stunned. She adds that she's surprised he hasn't heard of the cat girl's story. A girl who lives as a human by day and turns into a cat at night. When he questions if that could be real, she admits it sounds like an urban legend, but insists it's true. There aren't many like her, she explains. Since they become cats at night, they have to avoid being seen. When the sun rises, they return to human form. She explains that when turned into a cat, she wasn't wearing any clothes. That's why she was naked the next morning. That's the only reason why she couldn't leave Iori's house the day before. She's happy that he has the day off today. He thinks he is being pranked, but then assumes that maybe there was something else she couldn't tell others. The girl offers him a bite using the same spoon she was eating with, which leaves him feeling flustered. After sharing a bite with him, she tells him to have some food too, and then hands him his fork. He tells her that apart from her cat girl story, he doesn't think she can stay here. When she asks why, he tells her that she is staying in a single guy's house, which is dangerous at a whole other level. There may be times when he can't come home, and taking that into account, it would be better if she stayed at a woman's house. She smirks after hearing his reason, and soon bursts out laughing while calling him a nice guy. She further mentions the usual reasons, which would be things like limited sleeping space, high living expenses, or how unsettling it is to watch a cat transform into a girl. He mumbles that he's not disgusted by her at all. She smiles and says she wants to stay with him, that she's a good girl, and they already eat and sleep together. Casually, she mentions her goal, to improve his quality of life. He blushes as she leans in, his heart pounding like a ticking clock. Brushing the hair from his eyes, she says it's only right to start by giving him a haircut. Sometime later, she is cutting Yori's messy hair, which she is sure must have been bothering him. He apologizes for his messy hair, and wonders why did it become like this. He remembers that Taguchi also said the same about his appearance, and asks her if she's genuinely planning to cut his hair. She asks him not to worry, but what's making him uneasy is how close she's standing. She then drops a bomb, revealing that she has never actually cut anyone's hair before, leaving him dismayed for a short while. After the mess she makes of his hair, he ends up going to a real barber to get his hair done. After getting a fresh trim, he goes to the supermarket. At the supermarket, he bumps into Taguchi. She is surprised to see him as well, because it was supposed to be his day off. He informs her that Shima, the blonde middle-aged employee who called him gutless before, contacted him about Suzuki taking a sudden day off. Taguchi is amazed by the fact that Suzuki just does anything she wants. She has already taken an unnoticed day off. When she questions if he has come here to fill in, he informs her that he doesn't have a plan, so she could just lead it to him. Taguchi tells him that he can go home, and she reassures him that she will handle the work herself. He doesn't think it's fair, especially since she's off work too. She insists she will fill in for Suzuki. He asks her why is she so keen on doing that. She drops the comment, for no reason. She just thought he seemed a little better, and that's all there is to it. Her words catch him off guard, leaving him flustered. He receives more compliments because of his hair from another employee. Returning home, he is welcomed by the cat girl. Seeing her lying on the couch so comfortably makes him uncomfortable. She remarks that getting a haircut was a good move, even if she'd already chopped off a big chunk of his hair. Still, he went to a salon anyway. He shoots her a look and reminds her that she's the one who ruined it in the first place. Giving him a once-over from head to toe, she notes he's looking better than yesterday. Maybe it's because he finally had a proper meal and got some real sleep. The carbs gave him energy, and the sweets helped him relax. He wonders aloud if the French toast was secretly meant for him, but with a carefree shrug, she insists it was all for her. She just wanted to eat one. Her shameless answer grates on him. He starts grumbling about how arrogant and disrespectful she is, then stops short. It hits him. She really is just like a cat. After a brief pause, he looks at her and asks for her name. She climbs onto him, leans in close, and whispers softly, Mei-chan. He's caught off guard, mesmerized by her delicate face, when suddenly she transforms into a cat right before his eyes. It's not the timing he expected, but he doesn't flinch. Unfazed, he watches as she pounces on him and starts licking his face with surprising intensity. Without thinking, he wraps his arms around her small, warm body. He's always been weak to all black cats, and this one is no exception. Yori is fully caught up in the moment as Mei-chan playfully bites at his fingers. He smirks, half laughing, half groaning about the pain, then casually offers her his other hand to even things out, reminding her that his hand isn't a toy does nothing. She's relentless. It's been ages since he's been scratched for bitten, but despite the stings, he feels oddly content. After a lively evening of play, the two head to bed. The next morning, something soft keeps tapping his cheek. Groggy and annoyed, he flings his arm up in protest, only to freeze when he spots Mei-chan leaning over him. She greets him with a cheerful smile. Shocked, he tumbles out of bed, blurting out that she should at least put some clothes on. Glancing at the clock, he sees it's only 6:30 a.m. He's woken earlier than usual. When asked why she had to wake him up, she simply mentions being hungry. He grumbles that he usually gets up at 7 o'clock and skips breakfast altogether. She shrugs, still insisting her stomach's empty. Frustrated, he points toward the fridge, saying there's bread. Then he buries himself back under the blanket. Unimpressed, she lunges onto him in human form and starts biting again, this time out of protest, demanding a proper meal. Later, while serving her food, Iori brings up the biting. She explains she had no choice. He wouldn't wake up. Between bites, she asks if he even realizes that she stays awake all night, walking around until sunrise. That's why she's always starving in the morning. He hadn't known. In fact, he planned to sleep in until 10. She asks whether waking up early wasn't a good thing. After all, he's now eating breakfast, something healthy for a change. Then she happily digs into her food. From Iori's perspective, Mai-chan is a selfish girl who moves entirely at her own pace. A human by day, a cat by night, she's the very definition of a cat girl. He never agreed to let a human live with him. Sure, Mai-chan the cat was different, but here she is, the same being in a human body. She overhears him muttering and reminds him that cat and girl are one and the same. Noticing his different attitude toward her human form, she teases him about it. Not long ago, he was thrilled playing with her, even when she scratched and bit him. He explains that cats are cute no matter what they do. That's just how it is. With a playful pout, she insists her human side is cute too. But Iori stubbornly claims the cat version is cuter. Amused, she teases him even more. The topic shifts when he asks about her ribbon, wondering if she has an owner. She points out that the ribbon isn't a pet accessory. It's for protection, meant to keep her out of shelters. Before he can press further, the doorbell rings. At the door, he finds a package addressed to him, but without a name. Mai-chan appears behind him, already assuming it's hers, and starts unpacking without hesitation. He questions why she sent the package to his place. Brushing it off, she tells him not to worry about the details and jokingly offers him her undergarments, both of them sharing a laugh. But Iori's expression hardens. He reminds her that she's only staying temporarily. Once she finds a place to go, she has to leave. She gives an absent-minded okay, barely acknowledging his words. Then the doorbell rings again. This time, it's the landlord. Caught off guard, Iori fumbles through his greeting. The landlord, without much ceremony, asks him to walk his dog, Tetsuo, as a favor. Iori, the cat lover, instinctively pats the dog and notes how long it's been. Apparently, the landlord's back has been acting up again since yesterday. He asks Iori to take Tetsuo to Third Park, which is quite far, and since he's at it, he might as well deliver a notice to Takahashi and water the plants afterward. Peeking out from behind the door, Mai-chan comments that he's getting pushed around. Before leaving, the landlord recalls hearing a cat sound the day before yesterday. He asks if it came from Iori's place. Iori panics but manages to say it must have been a stray. Once the landlord leaves Tetsuo in his care, Iori tells the dog to wait while he grabs his jacket. Just as he turns back, Mai-chan steps out, clearly intending to join them. When he reminds her about not going out in daylight, she argues that it's still early, so it's fine. She tosses his jacket at his face and tells him to hurry up. While walking, Mai-chan talks about how naturally he accepted all the chores, wondering if this happens often. He explains that it's not a regular thing, but ever since he walked Tetsuo once, the landlord's back has coincidentally been hurting. Noticing her intense stare, he pleads with her not to look at him like that. People already call him a softie. She guesses that back in school, he was probably the guy always asked to share notes or do the unpopular jobs. He groans in response, basically confirming it. His old nickname? Eternal Errand Boy. Iori claims he simply does what people ask. But Mai-chan challenges that thinking. To her, being asked doesn't mean you have to say yes. Refusing or making excuses is valid too. He insists he's not special. He just does what others can do. But for once, Mai-chan turns serious. She stops, looks him in the eyes, and says she doesn't want just anyone to take care of her. She wants him. To her, being chosen by her is something special. He should have more confidence in himself. Embarrassed by the unexpected praise, he looks away. After watering the plants, they return to the building. The landlord happily greets his dog, but offers Iori no thanks. Before Iori can let it go, Mai-chan steps in on his behalf, calling out the landlord for being rude. When she repeats herself, the landlord finally catches on and thanks Iori properly. As their eyes meet, Mai-chan flashes a bright smile. Curious, the landlord asks who the girl is. Iori fumbles again, calling her a visiting relative. The old man looks skeptical, but doesn't push it. Back inside, Mai-chan immediately jumps onto the bed. She announces she's going to sleep while Iori has to leave for work. Before stepping out, he tells her to be useful if she's staying another night. Maybe hang the futon or cook dinner. Her silence speaks volumes. She has no intention of doing any of it. Still, Iori can't help thinking cats are cute when they act shamelessly, but humans not so much. That evening, he returns home and is greeted by Mai-chan in her cat form. He launches straight into cat lover mode, trying to hug her, but she slips past him and leads him to the kitchen counter. There, he finds a sticky note. Human Mai-chan wrote it, "Proud of you for keeping the kitchen clean." She flicks her tail, showing she means it. Next to it, another note praises his cooking and wonders what's for breakfast tomorrow. On the living room table, there's a third note. "I like how kind-hearted you are." His face flushes red. As if to prove the point, Mai-chan rubs herself against him affectionately. Blushing, he finally admits maybe the human side of her isn't so bad after all. Each night, Mai-chan begins her routine with a quiet walk under the stars. As soon as the sun rises, her body shifts back to human form. She grabs a shirt from Iori's closet, slips it on, and crawls into bed beside him. Morning comes with the usual noise, his. Iori's voice rings out in frustration, waking her as he scolds her for sneaking into bed again. Still half asleep, she groans and wonders aloud how he can be so energetic this early. He points to the sleeping bag he laid out the night before, reminding her that it was meant for her. A flashback shows Iori rummaging through his closet and finding an old sleeping bag left by a friend. He never imagined it'd come in handy, but felt oddly relieved not to have tossed it. While setting it up, he caught Mai-chan kneading the fabric, a moment that brought a soft smile to his face. He had told her she was free to sleep on the bed as a cat, but once she turned human, the sleeping bag was non-negotiable. Back in the present, she shrugs and reminds him that she never agreed to those conditions. In fact, she casually suggests he sleep in it instead. When he insists it's his house, she waves it off. There's enough room on the bed, and besides, he should be thankful a beautiful girl is letting him share it. He snaps that he's anything but thankful and doesn't need her speaking for him. Deep down, he's just overwhelmed. Mai-chan seems completely shameless and entirely unaware of how reckless she's being. But maybe that's just the cat part of her talking. Suddenly, she throws a tantrum. He scowls and asks if she's a child, which sparks a new question in his mind. How old is she anyway? She casually drops the answer, 17. Also, she's on a leave of absence, so there's no need for concern. He freezes, then quickly raises his voice, warning her that if she sneaks into his bed again, she'll have to leave. No second chances. She looks genuinely confused. Just moments ago, she was welcomed into his bed as a cat, and now she's being treated like an intruder. She points out the double standard, how he'll give up his pillow for her in cat form, but won't even let her share the bed as a human. He retorts that cats are different, cute, and not a legal concern. When she asks if she's not cute too, he deflects. That's not the point. Annoyed, she mutters that she's definitely a cute girl, even if he refuses to admit it. Aoi, trying to shift the mood, teases her with a threat. If she keeps it up, she'll only get bread for breakfast. Calm and unfazed, she calls his name with a sweet tone and requests nekamama instead. And just like that, he ends up making it for her before heading to work. Later at the supermarket, he thinks back to how boldly she demanded nekamama earlier. In his eyes, she's the pure embodiment of arrogance. For lunch, he munches on a simple rice ball, dried fish with cheese filling, made from leftover nekamama. Humble but satisfying. Mid-bite, his phone buzzes with a text from her. Confused about how she even got his number, he opens it. It's a photo of human Mai-chan. He frowns and places the phone down, uninterested. A second message comes through, this time a picture of cat Mai-chan. A smirk spreads across his face. Without hesitation, he saves the photo and replies with a sticker, a cat giving a thumbs-up captioned, "This is the best." Soon, two employees walk into the staff room. One of them is Taguchi. They're chatting about a newly stocked hairbrush. Cheap, effective, and leaves hair shiny. Aoi perks up at the mention, thinking it might be useful for Michan. The other employee, a friend of Taguchi's, freezes when she sees him eating. She's shocked. Up until now, she's only ever seen him drink water. What's more, it looks like a homemade lunch. Suspicious. She jokes that maybe he had a girl over last night. She goes on, claiming she saw him walking a dog with a beautiful black-haired girl. At least, she adds, relieved he's not doing paid dating. Aoi, finally fed up, sets the record straight. The girl wasn't a hooker or his girlfriend, just a relative or someone he's looking after. She doesn't quite buy it. That girl was far too cute to be related to someone like him. Back at home, Michan is sulking. She can't believe Aoi only responds to her cat form. All her life, people have called her cute, friends, classmates, even strangers. But Aoi, he only lights up around the catter. Fuming, she decides to get even by eating the sweets he's been saving for himself. Later that evening, when Aoi returns home, he finds Michan fast asleep, curled up beside a plushie, her arms wrapped around it in an oddly adorable way. Something about the scene makes him pause. Quietly, he sits down beside her, unable to look away. Her long, dark hair spills over the pillow, catching the light in soft waves that accentuate her beauty. His expression softens, watching her sleep stir something deeper in him, a quiet warmth he hadn't expected to feel. Almost without thinking, he reaches out and gathers a few strands of her hair, gently running his fingers through them before combing it with slow care. As he continues, mesmerized, he finds himself remembering how smooth and shiny her fur is in cat form, too. Is there a connection? He wonders. Either way, she takes good care of herself. His thoughts drift to what his coworker said earlier, that she saw him walking a dog with a really pretty girl. Looking at her now, he can't deny it. Michan really is beautiful. Then it hits him hard. Wait, this is a grown man in his 30s brushing the hair of a sleeping 17-year-old girl without her permission. He freezes in horror. The calm in the room vanishes. Nope, not okay. This is dangerous territory. Just as he's about to back away, he notices food crumbs near her mouth. His eyes narrow. She's eaten everything. Under his breath, he mumbles, "She's really cute for a kid," not realizing that she's actually wide awake and blushing furiously under the blanket. What was that? Her heart thuds in her chest, face burning. Why do I feel so stupidly happy hearing that? Right when she's about to sit up and make him say it again, her body starts glowing, and in the most inconvenient timing possible, she transforms back into a cat. Iori immediately switches into cat lover mode, crouching down and offering her some milk. Meanwhile, Michan sulks internally, frustrated at the timing, but at least he noticed. He finally called her cute. Her ears perk up, only to flatten seconds later when he smiles and mutters, "If only Michan could stay a cat forever." Her joy shatters. When night falls, she ignores the bed and sulkily curls up in the sleeping bag instead, tail flicking in silent protest. Michan is out on her nightly walk while Iori sleeps soundly. A fun fact about her, she can talk to other cats. A cat perched on a wall speaks up, clearly aware she's new to the area. He mentions he's seen her walking around at night, then introduces himself as Teru. Curious, he asks whose pet she is. She points toward Iori's apartment and says that's where she lives. Teru immediately recognizes the place. It's the apartment of the scary old man who once chased him off with a broom, along with a dog named Tetsuo. Michan proudly shares that the person she lives with is actually very kind and even has a special spot for her, which Teru finds surprisingly nice. Suddenly, another cat catches Teru's attention. He calls her Maria. Michan remembers her. She and Iori once saw Maria lounging on a car rooftop during a walk with Tetsuo. Iori had admired her elegant vibe and wondered if she was part Norwegian forest cat. He tried petting her a few times, but always got rejected. Still, he seemed enchanted by her presence. Teru explains that Maria lives in a nearby house, but frequently roams outside. Even he finds her charming, but Maria's graceful smile irritates Michan. She firmly believes she's the cute one here. Later, Michan returns to Iori's bed and watches him sleep. Recalling the moment he called her cute, she gets flustered, surprised at how happy it made her feel, even though she's been called cute plenty of times before. Watching him mumble in his sleep, still handling imaginary customers, she feels sorry for him. I'll make him say it again, she thinks, before jumping on his face and sitting there, completely unfazed. It doesn't matter how many times he says it. What bugs her is that he didn't say it from the start. Meanwhile, Iori is trapped in a nightmare where he's being attacked by a robber. Morning arrives. The alarm blares, jolting Iori awake. Still groggy, he mumbles that he had a dream about being choked. Michan, smiling sweetly, greets him. He greets her back, half awake and already suspicious of her expression. She stands and twirls, showing off her new loungewear. It's clear she's fishing for compliments, but instead of praising her, he scolds her for wearing something so revealing, snapping that she's gotten way too comfortable here. He grabs the sweatshirt she left lying around and tosses it into the wash, rumbling that she'll catch a cold. She thinks he's acting more like her mom. Later, while they're having breakfast, the room briefly falls silent. They exchange a look. Iori breaks it by commenting that her appetite is impressive this early in the day. Michan's face falls. She was clearly hoping for a compliment. Preferably, "You're cute." Frustrated, she shouts at him. After breakfast, Iori leaves for work. Alone now, Michan stares out the window. No use crying over spilled milk, she thinks. She wonders if he'll return while she's still in her human form. Meanwhile, at the Benny supermarket, Iori is stuck calming down a heated argument between coworkers. When he tries to take the blame to de-escalate, he's told to stay out of it. Another employee pulls him aside without explanation. At the front entrance, to his complete surprise, Michan is waiting for him. She calls it a surprise visit. He's stunned. She didn't tell him she was coming. He immediately grabs her hand and drags her away, aware that the staff are watching them from behind the shelves. Outside, Michan proudly hands him a bag with taiyaki, which she bought at a discount. She mentions that she considered coming in her uniform, but didn't have it in her bag. Still, she's confident her outfit is cute. But Iori's patience snaps. He scolds her, telling her not to come here again. He appreciates her gesture, but this isn't something she should be doing. She's confused, asking why it's a problem. He explains bluntly. It's a pain. The supermarket's part-time aunties are legendary gossipers, and once rumors start, they're impossible to stop. Disappointed, Michan walks off. She ends up at a nearby park, venting to herself. Why am I acting like some clingy girlfriend? She wonders. Watching a mother play with her kids, she comes to a realization. Being cute isn't just about appearances. It's about bringing joy to someone. She asks herself what she really wants. She knows she's not good at housework. She can't cook well, and she doesn't even know how to use a washing machine. As she's thinking hard about what she can do for Iori, a stranger approaches her. "I finally found you," the person says. Meanwhile, Iori returns home from a stressful day. Just before closing, he had to deal with a shoplifter. Tired and hungry, he brings out the premium canned cat food he bought for Michan. He assumes she's asleep, but when he doesn't see her, he searches the apartment. Maybe she went for a walk. It wouldn't be unusual, but she's always home when he gets back from work. He starts to feel nervous the moment he feels the wind blowing from the open window of his house. Michan, that always came back to sleep with him, didn't return. Worried about her, he had no choice but to leave the house to search for her. However, the problem was that trying to find a black cat at night is impossible. Eventually, he gives up and heads back home. He believes that it's probably a one-night thing, she might return the next day, and even guesses that maybe Michan is used to night walks. He knows that it's not a big deal because he was letting her stay in his house to begin with. She is allowed to leave whenever she finds a place to stay. Even though he suspects she might be out there searching for a new place to stay, a lingering, deep feeling still weighs on him, one he just can't shake. Worried, he searches online for why cats roam at night and learns that those without a safe daytime spot often look for shelter after dark, likely how Michan found his place. Trying to sleep, he's haunted by her words. She didn't want just anyone, only him. Unable to rest, he lies awake until he hears her familiar footsteps, then leaps out of bed, heart pounding with relief. He looks at the window and sees her coming inside, but all worn out. ChatGPT said. He quickly grabs a towel and begins cleaning her, alarmed by her shedding fur, leaf-covered body, and a painful-looking scratch above her right eye. "What happened to your pretty face?" he asks, then notices her injured paw, covered in scars and scratches. As he gently wipes her wounds, wondering if he should take her to a vet, Michan suddenly transforms into a human. Holding her hands, stunned, he hears her say with a smile, "Good morning." He gets flustered seeing her and shouts at her to get off. She calls him out for being excessive, since he was the one who picked her up. Afterward, He applies some disinfectant to her wounds. She fears that a mark might get left behind on her face. From Aori's perspective, she has a pretty deep cut even for a human. She mutters that she's not going to forgive that troublemaker, which Aori overhears. He asks her what she was doing outside, and guesses that maybe she got into a fight with a cat. She confirms his suspicions by nodding. A flashback shows Michan confronting Maria, asking why she was so far from home. Maria brushed her off, saying it wasn't her business. As she turned to leave, thinking Michan was just some weirdo, Michan stopped her and invited her to come meet her owner, Aori, and let him pet her. Maria was baffled. Michan explained that her owner had tried to pet her several times, but she never let him, even though his affection was genuine. Maria scoffed, saying there was no reason to let someone like that touch her. When she asked who he even was, Michan reminded her. They'd met him before. The guy with the Shiba dog and the cute black-haired girl. Maria recognized Aori as a lackluster guy and refused to get closer to him. With a smug look, she told Michan that she was only interested in handsome guys. She snapped right after what Maria just remarked. The current injuries on her body are a testament to how brutal their fight was. After hearing her out, Aori calls it ridiculous. He asks her what she did it for, though he is also astounded to learn that she can talk with cats. She explains herself, stating that she went that far thinking it would make him happy. He lets out a sigh after learning that she did that just for something that silly. He tells her that he is worried. Astonished, she asks him if he was awake the entire night. He says that normally she is always there by the time he sleeps, but she wasn't there this time. He couldn't fall asleep even when he went to bed, thinking something might have happened to her. With a smile, she holds her arm up to his face and says that he does love her after all. She tells him to take responsibility and give her lots of love, since she will always be sleeping with him. She also adds that she has a big attitude. When he notices that it's already 6:45 in the morning, he informs her that a shipment is showing up early this morning, so he has to head out now to receive it. Before leaving, he bluntly calls her human form Michan and informs her that breakfast is in the fridge. It takes her a few seconds to process what he just said, but she jumps the moment she realizes that he called her name in her current form for the first time. Outside his apartment, Iryu tries to compose himself, though his face is still flushed. Inside, Michan notices her real name written on the food he left in the fridge and smiles at the gesture. Just then, her phone rings. It's a familiar girl calling her Mayo and checking in. Michan asks why she didn't go to school, but the girl reminds her it's Sunday. She also brings up how Michan ran off the day before, leaving her brother nearly in tears. He had just wanted to talk more. Michan recalls him suddenly showing up while she was resting in a park near Benny's supermarket. She had fled because he kept pestering her to stay in contact, be more cautious, and provide detailed information about her owner, emphasizing how important it was to know what kind of man he was. The girl acknowledges that kind overprotectiveness isn't unusual for them. Curious, she asks about Michan's owner. Michan reflects on him, describing him as no ordinary cat lover, someone deeply kind and different from the rest. When asked if she had chosen him as her partner, the girl also reminds her of the consequences. If they don't form a bond with the man before adulthood, they will gradually lose their ability to stay human and return to being cats. Michan admits she's aware of the risk, but insists that's not why she's with him. She simply feels at peace in his home and believes the girl would understand that. Before ending the call, she asks the girl to tell her brother to give her some space, confident in her ability to make her own decisions. The girl agrees. The contact name on her phone reads Tamaki. With only 1 year left before her time as a human runs out, Michan lingers in silence, lost in thought. The next day, Awari comes up to Michan and asks for a favor. She pauses briefly, intrigued. This is the first time Awari has ever asked her for a favor. He says there's a place he wants to go with her. It takes 20 minutes by train, but he'd like to visit it with her if she doesn't mind. Without any hesitation, she agrees. A little later, she comes out fully prepared for their outing. Seeing her ready, Awari asks if they're good to go. However, from her point of view, he's far from ready. She notices his bad hair, rough skin, and worn-out clothes. Plus, he's covered in fur balls. Without warning, she grabs him and starts preparing him her way. Tidying his eyebrows, applying skin lotion, styling his hair with wax, and finally making him throw away his worn-out hoodie. He protests, saying he's a guy and guys don't do that kind of thing. Irritated, She tells him that since he'll be going out with a beautiful girl like her, the least he can do is clean himself up. Besides, he's a grown man. He shouldn't be stepping out in his just woke up state. After he apologizes, she asks where they're headed. Shortly after, Mai-chan finds herself inside a cat cafe, and she's far from thrilled. Still, she had a hunch it might be something like this. Awari explains that ever since she told him about her ability to understand cats, he's been curious. He thought it would be fun to know what the cats here were thinking, implying this was the reason he brought her. Seeing him light up like a child, Mai-chan agrees to help, but warns him that her ability to interpret cats is limited when she's in human form. She also clarifies that she can't actually talk to them. Overjoyed by the sheer number of cats, Awari barely listens. He pays the fee to enter and quickly finds a long-haired, fluffy-tailed cat to play with. Eager to know what the cat is thinking, he asks Mai-chan for an interpretation. She tells him the cat doesn't want to be touched. Undeterred, he moves on to other cats and eventually tears up with joy. He says he's always been curious about this place, but never had the courage to visit alone. Now that he's here, he's glad he came. He tells her he wants to make this a regular thing, which annoys her, especially since, in her mind, he already has her. When she voices this, he's dumbfounded and tries to explain that it's different. Meanwhile, Mai-chan finds herself being courted by several cats. As they talk, Owun approaches and introduces herself as Osato, the cafe manager. She tells them that the cats they're playing with are male, and jokes that they're shallow because they love pretty girls. She delivers the dessert toast they ordered, a cat-shaped bread served with matching side dishes. The dessert is as delicious as it is cute, and Mai-chan eagerly takes a bite. Enjoying every nibble, she admits that even without the ice cream, the bread alone is tasty. Osato thanks her and proudly reveals that the bread is homemade. She baked it herself. Noticing how naturally Aoi handles the cats, Osato asks if he owns one. He says yes, and she comments that he seems like a pro. She assumed as much because his handling shows experience. Excitedly, she starts guessing the breed. Maybe a brown tabby, a calico, or even a purebred. When he tells her it's a black cat, she calls it lovely. He adds that his current cat is sort of like his second one, a comment Mai-chan clearly dislikes. He then shows Osato a picture of Mai-chan in her cat form, and she calls her cute. She's surprised to see that even though the cat is black, her paw pads are pink, calling it a rare and remarkable feature. Her exaggerated reaction leaves Mai-chan wondering if it really is that rare. Osato mentions that Aoi's cat looks like the opposite of her own white cat, and shows him a picture to compare. The two of them begin chatting passionately about cats, their chemistry surprisingly natural for two people who just met. Soon after, one of Osato's staff tells her she has a phone call. Before leaving, she apologizes to Iori and Mai-chan for taking up their time and tells them to enjoy the rest of their visit. Later, with Iori in the bathroom, a staff member clearing their table casually asks Mai-chan what she and the manager were talking about. She mentions that it was surprising. Osato rarely talks to male customers so openly, which made her curious. Not long after, Mai-chan tells Iori, who's still happily playing with cats, that it's time to leave. He agrees and gets up. As they check out, Osato calls out to them, they've dropped something. She picks it up and realizes it's the ribbon Mai-chan always wears. After retrieving it, Iori thanks her. With a warm smile, Osato tells him to come again. As they leave, Iori says the cafe was heaven. Every cat was adorable, and being around them while drinking coffee was the best. Mai-chan, with a face full of jealousy and irritation, points out how much fun he seemed to be having with the manager. He admits it was fun, mainly because they shared the same love for cats, which made her easy to talk to. As she pouts, Mai-chan recalls the cafe worker's earlier comment about how friendly the manager was, especially toward him. Watching him gush about cats, she realizes something. There probably isn't a single bad person in the world who truly loves cats. Still pouting, Mai-chan listens as Iori adds that he felt totally out of place in such a stylish cafe, and that no matter how curious he gets, he wouldn't have gone without her. Hearing that, she's surprised by the praise. Though she first acts nonchalant, a small smile breaks through, showing how deeply happy she is inside. Even though he hasn't really done anything wrong, she decides to forgive him.